Hey everybody out there, my name is Dragnix, and this is Bit Evolution. $8.99 came out on the Steam store yesterday. It's 10% off during its promotional period. It brings the idea of evolution into graphics and nostalgia purposes. This game very much so brings the puzzle platformer and the nostalgia element to it, in terms of the old 8-bit days, the Gameboy days, so on and so forth. Each world has its own theme, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. I do like this game. I do like it on the basis of the platforming portion, and in one section in particular. So, we're going to start with Temple Quest here. Each world, like I said, is its own game. So this is the old, I think, Atari games, I'm going to assume. Then you got Game Boy, NES, and you got the Super NES. I've obviously only done the first two worlds in question. I've played about an hour and a half into the games in question. So, we're going to play a couple of levels here. I'm going to... It's a good one to play. Let's go with 1.5 here, the Webbed Woods. So, here's our character, Bit. Bit doesn't have a lot of abilities. All he can do is jump. And one other thing which I will get to. Now, of course, you can jump all over the place, and the controls work very well for the game in question. 8-bit platformers, you need a little bit of preciseness to it, and the rules on it keep consistent. I can drop down through platforms with the control stick going down. This game does work with the keyboard and mouse, keep that in mind, and honestly, I haven't had any problems with the controls whatsoever. Now, this seems like a perilous jump, but one of the things about this game is that there's one other ability that Bit has. He dies, he goes to the Code World. Now, the Code World is basically your other life. So this is what is behind the 8-bit world in question. And so, basically, what you need to do is make your way back to the real world in several cases. And so now, I'm back to the real world. The enemies have respawned, of course, but simple enough, right? Now, sometimes you need to go through the Code World instead of the regular world in order to proceed. You see, these portals take you to different sections, and some sections you can't get through without those portals. Now, you're wondering why I'm probably backtracking. You see this little pixel here? In each level, there are 20 pixels, and those are the collectibles of the game. From what I've gotten so far, there's no benefit specifically in terms of the pixels in question, but it is the collectathon kind of game, and I want to get to that section in a little bit. Now, in terms of the platforming, it's rather basic. The idea of adding the extra world adds an element to it, and here's a checkpoint marker, but this isn't anything you haven't seen before. But like I said, the collectathon portion is where this game changes, because it becomes more of a puzzle game more than anything else, mostly because of the fact that, hey, I have to use the portals in question to get to areas that I may not have gotten to before. And so I have to sort of figure out, okay, how do I get to that pixel? That's where the game rather shines, because the pixels are located in different areas. They can be located behind you. They may require a specific enemy that you need to jump off of in order to get to it, or just some logic that you didn't consider at that point. And it's more of an exploration type of puzzle platformer, and I like it for that. Now, there are little things that do bother me about the game. In particular, trying to get out of the water at times can be rather frustrating. Just because for some reason there's this little, like, I don't want to say hitch to it, like when you have to jump onto a one-step platform on the water, if you're right next to it, you can't. And it seems like there's an optimal distance that you need in terms of being able to jump onto that platform. I think it's rather small from what I've seen, but that's a lot of complaining on my part. Alright, now if an enemy... I'm surprised that enemy didn't kill me at that point. I was able to jump on his head somehow. Alright, if you do die, you restart, and it's one of my sort of little negatives on the game. I do wish the game would actually punish you in that case, because, I mean, honestly, I got the pixels in question, and I didn't lose them at that point. I wish the game would actually take those pixels away to give the challenge there, or at least give an option for that, because it really allows you to be suicidal at times with no real... Yeah, you have to go back to the start at times, but really, when it comes down to it, that's not a real big problem. And honestly, you can keep on doing it. It's a very casual platformer, even though the whole 8-bit nostalgia portion makes you think of really hard platformers most of the time. Now, I will say that the looks of the game, like this game right now doesn't look like it's, you know, on the cutting edge of graphics, of course, or even for the 8-bit version of it, that it could use a little bit of improvement. But again, it's going for the time frame in question in terms of this is like the sort of pre-NES era, and honestly, it works in that retrospect. I will get to a Game Boy version of it, and each world really fits in terms of what it's trying to do. The music makes sense, everything around it makes sense. And the game put a lot of effort into catching those nostalgic feelings. There's a particular section within when you get to the Game Boy world for the first time where it takes the introduction of that world very much in the style of Pokemon and Professor Oak, which I really appreciated. It really hit that nostalgia purpose on it. Even asks you your name, ignores your answer, and then says, okay, you're bit. But it, for anyone who's really trying to remember those old days of platforming and sort of those experiences, this game, even though it's a little bit unique in the way that it does it, I felt like it hit that nostalgic portion without playing the same way, which I find rather rare. Alright, now you notice here, I can't actually go by at this point. I actually have to sacrifice myself to get to the other world. I do see I jumped right into that. I do see a pixel that I missed that I want to get. Now, you can go through the worlds without actually having to collect the pixels. Like I said, there doesn't seem to be a bonus for that, at least at this point in the game. But honestly, that's maybe a little bit deceptive because maybe there's a different ending. I don't know. It's one of those situations where, again, the gameplay in question does rather well to that collectathon portion of it. There's nothing special beyond that here. And if you're not going to like the collectathon portion of it, then I want to say that this game may not be for you. Why did I do that? Oh, well, that works for me. Back this way. Oh, I was holding down, unfortunately. That was silly of me, but it happens. Alright, let's exit out of this level, and let us go to the Game Boy level. Now, there is a story behind it. It's rather, you know, it's what you expect out of the era. It is actually rather done well in terms of, like, you start into the Pong world and you're the ball, and then you start evolving into this, you know, okay, the 8-bit, and now I'm in the Game Boy era. I do like the little touches like the Game Boy embedded into the side there. Now, the enemy types are rather basic. I mean, there's not a lot from what I've seen, although I do like the fact that the different worlds can have different enemies. Like, you got this guy here. I like the effects that it has at times in terms of, like, that Game Boy, like, sort of glitching, like, missing no from Pokemon. Oh, that guy, I don't... Yeah, there's a one enemy type in here where I can't jump on their heads to, like Mario, to defeat, which is... But the first time I saw that, I was like, oh, well, that enemy didn't really give me any indication that I couldn't jump on their head. Sometimes the game doesn't work in that sense, that it, like, doesn't give you enough information to actually understand that. But you make the mistake once and now you really know. That's the enemy I'm talking about in question. Alright. Alright, any pixel up here? Yep. So, you can see the different graphic style, and again, he almost looks very, I don't want to say Kirby-esque, but he reminds me of Kirby. And again, it's playing off a lot of nostalgia elements to it, which I really appreciate. Again, this is not going to be a game for the newer generation in terms of players. There's nothing here that you're going to be able to relate to unless if you played those old games. But on the flip side, for those who have played those games, you know, this, like, green section of it really reminds me of the old Game Boy days. Really does. And honestly, I really appreciate the efforts put in. I like the fact that all those things are ones and zeros. I mean, this is coming from the software engineer, of course, so the whole binary thing, but didn't hit down arrow. I don't know why I didn't hit down arrow. Alright, keep on going here. Other than that, there's not a lot else to this game. There is a boss fight there in, you know, once in a while. The boss fights are rather basic, as I said before. I didn't say that before, actually. More so the fact that it's the same of what you would expect out of a platformer here. Overall, what my take on this game is that if you are the old retro school gamer and you want something different than you've seen before, and in particular you're a collectathon gamer, this game is right up your alley. This game's controls work well. The gameplay is rather basic at times, but in particular with the collection segment, as I said before, it works extremely well in that case. And honestly, it's got that charm. It's got the charm where it knows what it is, and because it knows what it is, it does it rather well. It knows its material, it knows exactly what it's going for in terms of audience. Other than that, it is what you see. Alright, this is Dragnix signing out. I hope you got an idea about Bit Evolution. I would recommend it at this point. Maybe not for everyone. Maybe pick it up during a sale for those who are, you know, it is the Steam Summer Sale coming up right now, so I can understand people not picking up, but it's worth a look down the road, especially for those collectathon gamers. Alright, once again, if you like the review that you've seen here, you know, like, comment, subscribe. In addition, if you've seen the Steam review, you know, give it a yes or no depending on what you like, you know, dislike, comment, so I can improve for the next time around, and I will see you all later. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you like this content and want to see more of it, you may want to hit that subscribe button on the left-hand side. If you like this video and want to see more of this content, take a look at this video on the left-hand side as well. And if you missed my last video, take a look at the right-hand side. Once again, thanks for watching, and keep on gaming.